have to understand that when we are really wanting to be genuine and mindful about being inclusive, it means that you are acknowledging and you're understanding that I am carrying and that other people are carrying all of these things. You have to remember everything else that comes with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that really is helping them be seen. And this is really tough, right? Because more often than not, we don't want to face the negative, we don't want to face the ugly, but it is critical in order to understand and make people feel that they matter, that you are seeing past the superficial and going in a layer deeper into who they really are. When we're mindful and genuine, being authentic, what is the impact that that has on our life as a creative? Well, what do I carry? And this, by the way, these are all things that I only recently in the last few years have been able to kind of figure out on my own. What is it that I'm carrying, right, into the work that I create, into the conversations that I start with people? There are the labels, everything that I mentioned, right? Being Latina, being non-native speaker, being an immigrant, all of these things. The generational trauma of the history of my people, the history of my islands, knowing what it means to carry the Puerto Rican flag and the pain that comes along with it, because for a long time, even displaying the Puerto Rican flag on my island was illegal. So it's just like, what does it mean to hold my flag and be proud of where I came from? My own dreams, my aspiration, my hopes, my expectations of how I want to be treated and how I want to treat other people. I carry all those things, and we all carry all those things. This is not just for a marginalized person like myself, it's all of us. We all carry this. At some place in your life, you're going to face an experience or go through something or see something that is going to change your life. And that is the pivoting point. The pivoting point can be so many things. A lot of times it's a negative thing. For some people, it can be something that somebody said. They said, no, you cannot, you will never be XYZ. Or perhaps something that a parent said, right? Or something that a parent did. And you decided for yourself, I'm never going to be like XYZ. I'm never going to do XYZ. It could literally be anything. So it takes many forms. It could be an event. It could be a piece of media, right? Watching a movie, watching a show, watching a documentary. It could be a personal experience, like I said, something that you went through, something that was said, whether it be negative or positive. And there's a representation. When you see somebody do something that looks like you, and all of a sudden it inspired you. So these are all the forms of the pivoting point. And how does that impact creative works? Well, it impacted me in the form of Dr. Jo Sanchez. Dr. Jo Sanchez was the only Latina educator in my whole life, outside of being in Puerto Rico, of course, but in living in the United States. He was the only academic teacher, mentor that I had who was a Mexican, who I could relate to on a deeper level than just a superficial, and who saw my potential as a Latina, as a creative, as an intellectual, and gave me wings to fly. Dr. Jo Sanchez was really special because he opened the door to many things that other people may have never opened the door for. And to me, that was in the form of research. He extended an opportunity to me to be able to go to a university and do a research program. And that opened the door for me to apply to graduate school and learn game design and get to where I am today. So to me, he was my pivoting point. It was the representation of seeing him as a Latino professor who could understand where I was coming from, who could understand my immigrant story, who could understand the bullying that comes with it and the ostracization that comes from all of that. Dr. Sanchez was my pivoting point and influenced me to being here and creating games. Creativity is an extension of self. That is everything in creating games, in creating music, in creating film, and creating art. You are giving a piece of you for people to see. You're being able to embrace an experience in a certain way and allow somebody to experience it with you. every single person making a game or a piece of media is a living human being, and they're experiencing something. They're getting influenced by something. They are hurting in some way, and they have something to say. So it is impossible to divorce creativity from self, because it is an extension of self. How many films have we seen that have made us cry or have moved us emotionally in such a way because the story that was told is so relatable, right? And something that we can see ourselves go through or have seen ourselves go through. I'm not Mexican, but when I watched Coco, I cried like 3 times. And it was because I could feel that sense of family, the importance of needing love from the people that you surround yourself with. That was very, very moving. And again, it's an extension of the creator's creativity and their selves and their experiences and what they value. And lastly, games. When it comes to seeing yourself on screen or somebody that looks like you, the feeling is absolutely incredible, especially because when you play a game, you have to fully immerse yourself in it. It's not like in a film where you are passively participating. You're watching things unfold, and the story is unraveling before your eyes. With a game, it's very active and it's very intentional, and being able to play as somebody else, where you can see a little piece of you in there, where you can see a little bit of your story in that, really is something unlike any other piece of media can do. And it's why I advocate so much that when we create games, or when we consult for games, or when we consume games that other people have made, that we really choose to see it with a lens of what was the intention behind this story, this character? What is the creative team trying to tell me? What are they trying to communicate? Reading between the lines can really make the world of a difference for you to understand what the dev team poured their hours and their lives to in creating that project. And lastly, influence. So with the pivoting point and with the creativity and how we have able to extend a piece of us to the creative stuff that we create, comes influence. It's the fact that with something that you do, with something that you say, you can really create a life-changing experience for someone. You could create a pivoting point in somebody's life with the creativity and the stuff that you bring forth into the world. So how have I been able to do that? With all of my labels and all the things that I have been through with my pivoting point, and with my extension of creativity in the games that I create, and the time that I have given to create community, I've been able to influence by creating LatinX in Gaming. LatinX in Gaming was created out of the lack of a community from existing, right? We didn't see anything for Latinos in the United States, and we decided to do it ourselves so that somebody else wouldn't feel as alone as we did when we first started. And that has opened a door for so many things. I've been able to speak to kids. I've been able to speak to high schoolers. I've been able to speak to college students. I've been able to speak to other game developers. I've been able to speak to parents of kids and people from all ages and walks in life, to let them know that, like, hey, like, games are just my medium of expressing who I am and what I have on the inside. And it's so powerful that anybody else could use that for their own good. They could write a book, they could write an essay, they can make a short film. Anything creative that comes out of the heart can be used for good and can be used as influence to really impact the lives around you. That if it wasn't for all these things, both negative and positive, all of my pivots, all of my experiences, all of the games that I have created, if it wasn't for all these things, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be able to inspire other people to create, and to really see other communities as more than just superficial difference, more than just a skin tone. It's way deeper than that. It's celebrating our histories and our ancestors, making sure that we don't forget the bad so that we can celebrate the good, and that it's all connected, and that's all included in the package. It's not just picking and choosing. Really, truly, after all of this stuff that I said, the impact of genuine and mindful inclusion of marginalized communities and creative works has the power to create social change through empathy.